Hello, everyone. Wow, what a difference a day makes. What happened last week? Let's see, we had the Federal Reserve do a 180-degree pivot and say, well, I guess we're going to have to lower interest rates. Well, wait a minute, fellas. What's going on here? And let's just set this up. Let's go back, 4 or 5 weeks? The 10-year Treasury was going over 5%. And if it went over 5% interest rates, then it was going to 15%. If it went to 15%, the world was going to end. Well, now it's just fallen off of a cliff. They did a total reversal. All right, guys, based on what? You told us everything's under control. You said inflation's coming down. You said the job numbers are good. You said the GDP is rising. You said it all looks rosy. Well, if it's so darn rosy, why out of nowhere did you tell us we have to drop interest rates next year 3 times? And then the real experts said, oh, no, it's not going to be 3. It's got to be at least 5. So suddenly the 10-year Treasury at 5% now dropped below 4%. Now that doesn't seem like much to you guys, but in that world, that kind of fall, it kind of looks like Wile E. Coyote running off that cliff, holding up the help sign for a second, and it's big in our world. So what's going on? All right, we have to speculate because they didn't tell us. 3 possible options. Option 1, the Biden administration pressured them, said, hey, look, you guys are killing us. By keeping interest rates higher for longer, you are ensuring we're going to lose. We want you to change it. And to think the Fed doesn't succumb to political pressure, that's not reasonable. There's a great story out of the 1960s. Lyndon Johnson, big man, he called in Bill Miller, who was the head of the Martin. Anyway, Bill Miller, Martin, anyway. Little guy, he was the chairman of the Federal Reserve. He came into the president's office and he had raised interest rates. Johnson lifted him up by the collar, slammed him against the wall, and said, you're in a position to run me through with a rapier, and you've done it. First, who uses the word rapier, but second, who does this kind of thing? So, yes, politicians try to intimidate the Federal Reserve. So that's one option. Next option, maybe as we alluded to, maybe the numbers aren't as good as they say. What if they're seeing, wait a minute, car repossessions are soaring. We're seeing mortgage defaults rising. We're seeing lots of layoffs. We're seeing lots of contraction in the economy that we're just not telling you yet. And all of this is starting to look like a recession, and maybe not a soft landing like we've been peddling, but a hard landing. It could be that. Let's try to get ahead of it. The third reason may be to help the government out of a position it's put itself in. Interest on the debt is now going to be over $1 trillion a year. Now we can't even comprehend this. $1 trillion just in interest on the debt? And now we're going to add, another $2 trillion next year to the debt? Well, if we have interest rates of 5 or 6% on $34, $35, $36 trillion, that's unsustainable. Jerome Powell has said that. We can't do this. So if they're not going to stop spending, maybe he must lower interest rates just so the government doesn't go poof in its financial situation. Anyway, any one of those 3 reasons is horrible, whether it's political, bad economics, or the government just can't afford it. So what's coming? Well, they've telegraphed it. They're going to continue to print money. They're going to try to inflate this away. They're going to drop interest rates, which will hurt the value of the dollar. That means rising inflation out there. It'll be choppy. There'll be times that inflation's up, then it comes down, and we'll all be hopeful, then it rises again. We have built your portfolios for this. We believed this was coming. 2024 should be a very good year for our investors. I'm not sure it's going to be all that great out there. Politically, just expect a mess. We can't solve problems anymore. We can't even talk to each other anymore. Again, bad out there, good for your investments. And with that, I'll turn it over to Walt.